Coming up this weekend, the guy on your screen right now is being inducted into the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Our colleague, our friend, Wade Grinde, joining us. He retired last year after more than 3 decades coaching basketball at Spring Grove. And, Coach, I know you're not the self promoting type or you want to put yourself in the limelight, but this was worthy of a conversation. Where were you when you got the news of this recognition, and what emotions hit you at that time?
Yeah, pretty crazy. I was actually out mowing my lawn and I had my tunes on my headset and my phone was going off and I was, deciding whether or not I wanted to stop mowing to answer the phone call. And it was probably a good thing I did, turns out. I got the call from Jim Galvin, who was the man in charge of the Hall of Fame. And how do you describe it? I just kind of had my basketball career kind of flash before my eyes. I was a little bit overwhelmed, I think. You just, you never really think about those things. And when it happened, you just appreciate and you feel a lot of humility because so many people, supported you on that journey, and I've been lucky here in Spring Grove. I've had great coaches. I've had great fans, parents. I've had, very few problems that, maybe other coaches have had in their career. So I really felt blessed.
When looking back at your career choice, what made education and coaching the right career choice for you?
Well, it's funny you asked that. We're going to have the Hall of Fame banquet this weekend. I've been going through those steps. I'm not a person that looks backward very often, but when stuff like this happens, you do. And what did it for me was honestly high school, Plummer High School. I grew up in a little small town, and my high school football coach, and he was a wrestling coach as well, was the guy that inspired me. I mean, he took an interest in us above and beyond just being our coach. He was there for us all summer long when summer wasn't a big thing. He opened the gym for us and worked out with us. And heck, I almost became a wrestler because of him. When I had to make a choice between basketball and wrestling, I almost went into wrestling all because of Coach Brownell. So that's what really inspired me. And I think the best thing I took from him was to care about your players, more than just coaching them.
What got you to Spring Grove? What kept you in Spring Grove?
Again, good stories here, buddy. You're touching. You're asking great questions. I expect nothing less from my esteemed colleague and partner here. Um, so when I came to Spring Grove, honestly, Darren, it was going to be 1 year. Sarah, my wife, future to be wife at the time, had a year left of college, and I wanted to go someplace where nobody knew me, just because I wanted a fresh start. I really wanted to focus in on, being a good coach and a good teacher. So I was going to come down here for 1 year, and wherever she got a job, then we'd likely not be in a small town as a business major. But it turns out it worked out really well. She got a job in Caledonia, and we started our life here even after saying we're going to be here for 1 year. Um, the head coaching job opened up the year after I was an assistant, and they offered me the job, and it was something I was interested in being a head coach right away, and we decided to stay. And along that 30-year run, there was, quite a few, I shouldn't say quite a few, but opportunities that we discussed leaving Spring Grove. But what kept us here is just the unbelievable support. Um, I have not had hardly any issues with people along the way. I've had nothing but support. And it's really hard to leave a situation like that. I got advice from some of my friends that were coaching at, major schools in the cities. And, I talked to them about what would be great to have maybe some of those types of athletes. And all the advice came, they just said, hey, do you love it there? Do they love you? Then I'd never leave.
And it's interesting because I hear that from you. I hear that from pretty much every Spring Grove that I've coached that I've talked to. Cody in football, Taylor Elton on the girls basketball side. They always mention the level of buy-in your kids give to your program. What is it about the Spring Grove community that allows that to happen and allows that connection to be made between the programs, the kids, the parents, and everybody all involved?
Yeah, they say there's three things that can ruin a team. One is parents, two is parents, and three is parents. And in our situation here, I think it's three things that can make great teams. And I think one is, you got to have great kids, you got to have great supportive parents, and then you got to have dedicated coaches at all levels that have the buy-in. And in Spring Grove, we've been fortunate. We've had that. I think they've always supported and understood us that we were doing more than just trying to win games. We've always tried to be involved in their lives, from the time we start coaching them in first grade, from the time they graduate, or even beyond. We develop quite an alumni following that come back and support us and have taken a lot of pride in what we do. We talk a lot about pride. We talk a lot about how we're going to win on and off the court. And I think that when people see that and they see the enthusiasm and the commitment that all of us coaches have, it's hard not to get behind that. You mentioned some of the coaches that we have here now. I either coached them or taught them or I've known them when they played. I can vouch for all of them. I'm proud of all of them that they're here, part of our program. So all of our programs. So when you get to be a part of that, we've had a lot of alumni that have moved back here just because they want their kids to experience our school and our culture here. So I guess I'm bragging about that, but it's something that I feel strongly about. It's what kept us here for 30 years. My wife and I, Sarah, raised our boys here, and the best decision we ever made. These great people, teachers, coaches, and community members have helped us raise our family, and that's one of the things I'm most grateful for.
When you look at your career as a coach, starting in the mid 90s and going through last season, how did you grow? How did you evolve as a coach as time went by?
Man, I tell you, many changes. So much so that when I first started coaching, some of my alumni, I'll actually go back and apologize to them that we weren't very good coaches when we started. And I think that you have to change and grow and evolve if you want to stay relevant and be somewhat successful in your career. I think when we first started, we all coached the way we were coached. Bobby Knight was the main coach around, and so everybody thought they should yell and scream and holler and yell at officials and work the refs. And fortunately along the way, I learned that you're getting all worked up and it's not really helping anybody. And it's just pretty much hurting yourselves. So we grew and got a lot better, I think, in that manner. I think it's a much healthier environment in high school now than it used to be. I think we all understand and appreciate the fact that it takes coaches, players, parents, officials, everybody, or this thing doesn't work, especially nowadays in the times that there are some tough times, but there are things that we always have to, focus on. Don Myers used to always say, do you want to coach? Do you want to ref? Do you want to play? Or do you want to be a parent? You get to pick one of those four. And of course, everybody, has to take a look at what their role is. And I think if everybody stays in their lane, everything works out really well. So the evolution of my coaching, and it's somewhat you look back on it and frown, but you also look back on it and go, thank God people had the patience to allow a lot of us younger coaches to figure things out because nowadays it's a a click society. It's got to be fast, and I think a lot of coaches are getting out because they haven't been afforded the opportunity that I was given to learn along the way and to fortunately have some great assistants with me to give you advice, and hopefully we can hang on to that.
And how important is it, especially for young people getting into the coaching profession, to do that honest self assessment of, I'm doing this pretty well, but I need to grow in this way? How important is it that self reflection to make yourself better and to make sure, most importantly, your kids are having a better experience?
Well, yeah, you're going to learn humility, either the hard way or the easy way. It's depending on how you want to receive that. It's also hard sometimes because a lot of us coaches were college athletes, and what made you a better athlete sometimes hurts you as a coach. They'll oftentimes talk about the best coaches weren't necessarily very good athletes because they have a very good perspective of what it's like to not be gifted, or that things came a little bit easier. So for me, I think it was the hardest thing was coming out of being a college athlete and having so much confidence in yourself to just do everything. You're not really, you could win a game yourself, put it that way. I mean, you could put it on your shoulders. So when you come in as a coach, you maybe have a higher opinion of your talents and abilities, and you get humiliated, humbled in a big hurry, and you realize I need a lot of people. I need buy-in from everybody. And then I think that was the best evolution. One of the best things I learned as a young coach is, I stopped trying to do it all on my own and started to build a network of great people, coaches, players. And I started to have a lot more empathy for what it took just to be a part of a program. The iceberg analogy, the top of the iceberg gets to be above the water and gets to be seen, but what keeps that thing afloat is everybody beneath the surface. And I actually have a saying over here on my wall. I can just slide that over. Can you see the iceberg there?
I can.
And that's been one of the things that we use words like brotherhood, toughness, integrity, gritty, chip, things that we use for our program and nobody outworks us that we've kept those mantras for years. And I just think that's been a blessing for us.
And another bigger picture question, and this is pretty open ended, but I got a feeling how I know you're going to answer this. What's the value of high school sports and high school activities, and why is it so important, especially in today's world?
Wow. I mean, every single person sitting here that you've interviewed is going to tell you that high school sports has made a difference in their life. It's changed their life some way, shape, or form. And the winning and successes, that's a byproduct of everything that goes into your preparation, everything along the way that makes you just a better person. All the things that we preach and we talk about, they sound so cliche and they sound so coach speak, but they are the fabric of what makes a good human being, a good citizen, a good father, a good wife. I mean, the people that you and I have met because of what we've been a part of in sports are our best friends. They're some of the best people that we know, which is why we're still up in the crow's nest together, calling games and laughing and joking and getting text messages while we're doing it. Um, and I think that's the best part about what we do. And I would encourage anybody at all levels. I mean, there's always levels of you're getting scholarships and you're getting, NIL money, and that's all great. And hopefully you can have a career. But so many of us, the rest of the 99 percenters that don't have that opportunity, it's the most valuable thing you've ever done in your life. And coaching has been way more valuable to me than anything I ever played in. And getting the experience and the success of others, and then sharing that with a community like ours, a small town community, just it's priceless.
And in a world where we focus a little bit more on the individual, at least externally, than we used to, and in a world where there's a lot of outside factors affecting the daily activities when it comes to high school sports, how do we keep the good of high school sports going into the future?
Yeah, and that's a great question too, because it's entertainment. I mean, at all levels, and it's entertaining to talk about who's the greatest of all time, and it's entertaining to celebrate, whoever that awesome player was that made that great play. But if we can always just kind of keep those things in perspective, you got to give the flowers to the people that deserve it. I get it. I mean, they're stars.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of the sport game, and we're not going to take anything away from them either. But it really takes coaches that coach for the right reason and understand that, we don't all shine unless we're all together. And then it takes parents, and that's the really hard part. Nowadays with youth sports, parents are committing so much more money and time that they want to see um, reap some rewards of all that. And I think maybe they just have to understand what those rewards are going to be. They may not be something that's immediate. It's going to be something that comes later on in their life, maybe. So understanding that, and I just think it's really about teaching and explaining how important high school sports are in that manner. And I think that's the job of the coaches, to make sure they communicate that and make sure that's a part of your, I keep using that word culture. That's got to be part of your culture. And I just think that the partnership between player, parent, and coaches and community, that communication has to stay there. Let's celebrate the ones that do great things and let's exalt them. And if they get opportunities to go above and beyond, that's great. I won't take anything from
Mm-hmm.
them. But let's also understand what we're all here for and what we really want from all this time and financial commitment.
You had three boys go through the athletics program at Spring Grove. Being a parent of student athletes, how did that make you perhaps a better coach?
It definitely does. Just like being a parent, as a teacher, you have a tendency to look at things different. Um, you want, I've kind of felt like I've used this term a lot. I'm going to coach you the way that I would coach my own children. I'm going to teach you the way that I'm going to teach my own children. I want that level of expectation. Uh, that standard is what I want us all to live by. Getting to coach my own kids opened my eyes that way to so much more. I got to teach them, I got to coach them, watched them be raised in this community, and you know, they were successful players. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is the way that people speak about them as leaders, and the impact they've had on our school and community, and the impact that they're still having, and what they're doing. Caden is right now playing basketball still in Valley City. The coaches look to him as a leader. They've told him as such. Chase was a leader for the Sioux Falls team, basketball, and led them to their first ever South Division title. But he's got friends that are going to last a lifetime because of how he carried himself as a player, and other coaches in that conference have told me as such. And right now, Tyson is doing track and football in college as well. And I hear the same thing from their coaches, talking about what a great leader he is, how dedicated he is. So that makes you proud. And I think, you can talk all you want, and talk is cheap, but actions speak louder than words. And I'm very pleased at what they've accomplished so far in their life. And again, I go back to how grateful I am to this community and these teachers and this school for helping Sarah and I raise our boys here.
I brought up your boys. I got to bring up Sarah. How supportive has she been over the years?
Well, try not to get too emotional about this because um, probably going to get a little emotional. Um, you don't get to these spots without, patience, understanding, and definitely out kicking your coverage when it comes to marriage. Um, Everything that I have in the world came from her. So anything that matters. So you got me this morning, buddy. You asked that question.
Well, you got to be real too, don't we?
So yeah, that's real, and that's how I feel about my wife. So um, yeah, I did well when I picked that one.
Yeah, you got lucky. Two more questions, as long as we got you here this morning.
Sure.
What advice would you give to a young person entering the education and coaching world today?
It was a lot of advice, and a lot of them just sound like words, but you have to understand the meaning behind it. First of all, you got to coach for the right reasons. If you don't understand what your what your why is, and you struggle with that, and if your why has a lot to do with you're going to have a lot of problems in coaching. Not many people are going to follow you. Um, they're not going to be interested in what you have to say unless you can sell them on the fact that what you're talking about is going to help them and make them better. So that's number one. You got to understand your why. You got to have passion. Um, Passion is, people follow passion. If you're passionate in what you do, you can make a lot of mistakes, and have that humility and just come out right out and say, I screwed up, and people will appreciate that. So humility is a big part of it too. And I think discipline. Um, Sometimes we hear that word discipline and we all kind of shriek like it's something that's bad, but without discipline, I mean, you're not going to have any success as a team or an individual. And when I say discipline, I mean, you're doing the right thing when no one is watching. I mean, that just applies to life. Do you do the right things in the classroom? Do you do the right things, on the court? And do you do things with class? So I think those are some of the best things that I've learned from people. I've had great mentors in my coaching career. I've had a lot of people that weren't afraid to tell me I was wrong, and I was fortunate enough to look at things and agree with them and understand it and learn from them and get better. It's not easy to coach. It gets harder, but it also is probably it is the most rewarding thing you'll do in your life. You're not probably not going to reap financial gains for it, but when you get to the point where I am, you know, they always talk about your huddle. Every year your huddle gets bigger. Well, when I get together with my huddle's pretty big, and I'm pretty proud of that huddle.
And final question, your staff in basketball probably had more stability than any small school, high school basketball staff, maybe in America. What did those guys mean to you?
Oh man, you know, Al Lochner was with me for 27 years. You know, that's almost as long as I've been married, right? So that's really amazing. And he was that sage, that wise. He's one of the most intelligent, best people I know. And he was the one that wouldn't be afraid to tell me this, that, or the other, and kind of kept me on the right course. Um, and then, of course, Dave Koontz was like a brother to me. He coached with me for 23 years. We went through all the highs and lows together. You know, we'd be in the gym in the morning coaching little youth kids in the summertime, and then we, you know, got to be at the what we considered a pinnacle for us to be coaching in the state tournament. So we were fortunate that way, get to share those memories together. And then all the youth coaches that I've had over the years that bought in, and parents that have helped coach us along the way. We just had a lot of great people that were willing to help us out. And of course, I got to finish my career coaching with my one-time number one combatant, but also my mentor, Coach Tom Vicks, who I think is, you know, the best high school basketball coach I've ever seen. And, you know, they knocked us out of the playoffs a number of times, and his record stands for itself. But to get to coach with him for 6 years and just kind of laugh and joke and really milk everything we could out of our last years of coaching, we knew it was coming to an end for us. So we made it a point to enjoy as much as we could the wins and the losses, and we did that. And you know, it's really fun to look back on it now and just say, man, that was a good run. It's time to move on to something different.
And Tom himself getting into the Minnesota Coaches Association Hall of Fame a couple weeks back. I was surprised he wasn't there already.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the worthy one there. But another thing that's kind of cool is you talk about our staff is all three of my coaches that I coached with were named to Assistant Coach of the Year. Al and Dave have received those honors earlier. And then, you know, just kind of funny, Coach Bix and I laugh about this. I tell him it's the only award you haven't won in your coaching career. So he's going to be honored on Friday, this Friday, when we do the Minnesota Basketball Coaching Clinic. He's going to receive an honor as Assistant Coach of the Year. And I laugh about that because we all know that Coach Bix is uh, not the Assistant Coach of the Year. He's the best Coach of the Year. And it'll be fun for us to go up and get that award and, you know, be my sidekick up there this weekend.
All right, Wade, we appreciate you taking some time to talk about your career, high school sports, and all the good things going on and all the great things going on in the community of Spring Grove over the last few years. I've appreciated, I've always known who you were, but getting to know you over these last few years and doing games with you has been an absolute blast. I appreciate our friendship, and I hope it lasts for quite some time to come. And most importantly, congratulations on your record, well-deserved recognition.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I look forward to getting back into that crow's nest with you on Tuesday night and telling some of our, I don't know if you call them jokes or bloopers, but tune in Tuesday night and listen to us trip on each other.
All right. Well, I'll let Coach Glassroot perhaps comment on a few of our comments, but nonetheless, Wade Grinde this weekend heading into the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame.